Hey everybody, it's Monster back again with Opus Gaming, and I'm here today to bring you guys something very special. It's going to be my first place finishing Broly list that I used at my local celebration event on this past Friday here. So it was a really good event. I only played a room full of green, so it was just a bunch of green mirror matches. But I've been piloting Broly for a really long time, and I think that it's a leader that is really strong. And I mean, a lot of people have been putting it in the top two slot for leaders in the game. It's really between that and Gohan, and I completely agree. I think that the green leaders are just like very strong. They offer a lot of resources, and they offer you just a lot in the way of combat mechanics, state or board presence, and just like general card advantage. So Broly, I think, is definitely top two decks in the format, and it's not number two. But let's get into the deck profile right away. And just for everybody that's looking for just the deck profile, I'm going to start off the video with just the full deck profile if you just want that, and then we'll go into a quick one by one on all the cards. But let's get into it right now. All right, and then just really quickly, for anybody looking for the deck profile, here it is all laid out for you guys. I know there's a couple weird choices and stuff, and I'll get into all of those, especially like some of the one-ofs and stuff. But this list is what's been working for me. It's something I've been working on for a long time, just from the ground up, and I really like the ratios and stuff right now. But all right, let's get into the card by card right now. For anybody who doesn't know, for the Broly leader, he's a draw one on his front side, and then his awakening is you ramp one from your life to your energy, which is actually it seems a little bit rough because you can drop down from 4, or you drop from 4 to 3 really quickly when you awaken. But for me, it's just really worth it. Getting the extra energy and getting into the late game a lot faster is really good. And then on the backside for Broly, he is essentially, for all my One Piece players, this is a Whitebeard. For all my Dragon Ball Masters player, he just has a permanent bean on top of him all the time, which is a lot of value in my opinion. And then his ability is just activate main. You can drop an energy to have him gain 5k power, and then he also draws a card. So being able to draw a card in the activate main speed is actually really important. It's something really unique for the leaders that we have. Most of them are when attacking draw one leaders. So just one of the things that I really like about Broly. But get him off here, and then we'll just get into the meat and potatoes of the deck. The first thing I want to talk about is playing the 4 super combos. Without going too deep into it, I just think that you need to play 4 super combos in every Dragon Ball deck. It's the perfect defense. It costs 0. It's 20k defensively, and it's still a 10k offensively. So just playing these is super important in general. But getting into the packages, we're going to start off with our 1-drops, our cantrips. These are going to be our 1-for-1s. Son Gohan Childhood and a Son Goku. Son Gohan searches top 3 for any card with Saiyan in its traits and puts the rest at the bottom. You can pick up a 5 or less. So it just gets you a card. It can find your 4-drop curve, your 3-drop ramper. So getting this card early in the game is really nice. I don't use it as much when I'm going later into the game, but opening this card is fantastic, and I do think it's one of the best cantrips. There's only one other one that I'm not playing, which is I believe his name's Mua. And the reason I'm not playing that is just because with the amount of hits that these have, I feel like the value is just so much more there. And all of your searchers and all of your little cantrips only have 5k combo. So I don't want to be overly just a deck full of cantrips. So, and then we just have our Son Goku 1-drop, draw 1. So super simple cards. You need these on your early curve to be able to play when you're on 1 energy or when you have 1 extra energy. Especially when you're tapping 3 for like a destructive meteor or something like that. So next up we have Android 18, a big staple. A lot of green decks are going to be playing this at 3 or 4 of. The reason that we're playing it at 3 of, just really quickly, is just because it has 5k combo power, and its second ability to draw 1 when you attack only turns on once you're on 6 or more energy. And the whole 6 or more energy kind of concept for the deck is a little bit complicated, so I ended up just putting her at 3. She comes in, there's some games where I never drop her, some games where she comes in and just does the most work. So I really like seeing her consistently at 3. Having 5k combo power is totally fine because you do need to get out of those even swings every once in a while, but she's just been a really good card for me. So we can get into the rest of the 2-drops here, which is going to be our Self-Awakener Paragus. This is just a card that you use to self-awaken. I haven't had to self-awaken in a very long time, but I do want to keep the cards in the deck just in case it ever comes up where your opponent's trying to starve you out of your awaken and you just have the option. They do have 10k combo, which is going to be, you guys are going to hear me justify playing cards because they have 10k combo a lot. I really like being a beans leader and then just having very easy defense. So all these cards that perform or like satisfy a specific need in the deck, but can also double as just being the best card that you have chilling in your hand are really important to have, and that's exactly also what Son Goku is. For the Son Goku slot, one of the things that a lot of people talk about are this versus Android 19 and Trunks. The reason that I play Son Goku is, there's a few reasons, but one of the bigger ones is to help me with my yellow matchup. Yellow can be hard sometimes, especially with cooler decks because they can be so aggressive, and those 20k bodies are very serious. This card can come down on 2 technically and swing for 25 if you have a Son Gohan childhood in your drop area. A couple ways that you can get the Gohan into your drop area is comboing defensively to not take early damage from like the crit leaders. Sometimes you have a Son Gohan on the board where you'll just combo it off, send it to the drop, and then this card comes out super early in the curve to swing 25 into 20k bodies. He is defensively 15, which is why a lot of people like dislike this card. But for me, the versatility of being able to swing into my opponent's leader whenever I want at the 25, but also have this card being able to come down on 2 energy, 3 energy, 4 energy, and 5 energy and still be equally powerful is very, very efficient. And I think it's really important when you're comparing it to the other cards. Trunks just can't swing at leaders, which I think is too much of a downside to play it. And then Android 19 is only available once you hit 6 energy. So it's the same thing with the Android 18 where with this deck, we do hit 6 energy really quick, but we have a lot of plays that kind of tap us out or very specific lines that we want to go down once we get to 6 energy. So having the 2-cost cards that are only alive on that side of your energy curve can be a little bit of a detriment. So I ended up just going with the Goku because he's live essentially constantly, right? Getting into our 4-drops, which are going to be another really important package. This is our ramp package. So 4-drop Vegeta, this is something almost everybody knows how broken this is. He comes down, he can help you with your yellow matchup by popping one of those annoying 2K or 2-drop cards. But he also ramps you out of your drop. So if you do the really broken or the really good curve ramp where you ramp with destructive strength on your second turn with an energy marker, and then you play the Vegeta to get this out of your drop and put it straight into your energy. That way you don't have to spend any extra cards to make sure that the engine or the combo goes off, and I think that that's really, really valuable. So Vegeta is just a fantastic card. 10 out of 10. You really wouldn't swap it with anything. It's got everything you need: the ramp, the 10k combo, and then also the board removal. And next up we have Goku. This is our other 4-drop ramper. And just talking about Goku, the reason why I'm playing it, I don't want to rant too long about this card, but it comes in, and what it does is when you're breaking on Vegeta, this card comes in on 4 and make sure that you ramp. You really want to go to 4 to 5 on that turn so that on your next turn you charge to 6, because your 6-drop bombs are the cards that, in my opinion, kind of change the game state. So these 2 cards assure that curve. Goku is another card where he sits in your hand at 10k if you can't play him. If you're playing bigger bodies onto the board that have 0 combo power, he's a fantastic card to sit in your hand. And in a situation where you have nothing but 10ks in hand, or you have 10ks and 5ks, but your 5ks are very valuable and you don't want to just send them to the drop, Goku is a really good card to just charge. So he performs in the deck just a lot of different ways, and the thing with Goku is that he's never bad. You'll never draw him and be like, oh man, I hate this Goku. I hate that I drew this. This is a brick. So he's really fantastic like that. He's never bad to see. Getting into our 5-drop, we'll just do them both at the same time because we only have 4 of 2 of them. For Son Gohan Childhood, this card is fantastic. It's another Gohan Childhood to turn on our Gokus. Another thing that I like this card for a lot, though, is just being able to pop a 4-drop. So if you're in Fighting Green and you're doing the dance, right? You're playing Destructive Meteor, then your opponent plays Destructive Meteor. You play 4-drop Vegeta, then your opponent plays 4-drop Vegeta. In games where I know that the game's going to be going a bit longer, I don't put as much emphasis on like forcing my ramps and things like that. And if I can drop this 5-drop Gohan on 5 energy and remove my opponent's 4-drop Vegeta, this is huge, huge tempo. It's got 10k combo, so you never dead draw it. And it's just a really useful card. This card is fantastic at 4, and it's just really consistent. You'll see that a lot in a lot of lists. But 4 of the Son Goku. This is another card that's in here at 4 of because of the consistency of it. You want to draw this. You want to be able to charge this when it's the lowest combo in your hand, and you want to be able to drop this at the right time. So you just want to have access to this card at a bunch of different points in the game. If you see it too early, it comes in as a charge. If you see it at the right time, though, it just comes down as your play, and it really assists your leader in making sure that you don't drop energy. One thing a lot of people have been dropping this card, and I can see why, because once you get to 8 or 9 energy, you can just play the cycle game where you skip your charge, or you do charge and you just drop the charge energy. Make sure that next turn that you're going back up to 8 or 9 so you can tap out for your big bosses and sit on your 1-cost defensive cards. And if you are playing like that, you can totally drop this card. But for me, the strength of being able to ramp, fix your energy curve, if you need to take a turn off of ramping to set up another card, Goku teleporting freeze or Cell Away can just come in and really, really fix the game situation for you. He can come in, and if you're 2 turns behind on ramp and you need to drop a Broly next turn, he can come in and make sure that you get your leader ability off that turn and that you get the extra energy. So getting into the 6 drop, so I'm not rambling for too long. We'll start off with the dual androids. These are fantastic. We'll talk about actually the dual androids and the Broly, because technically the Broly comes in as the 3rd android slot. Broly is here because when you're playing against, for example, green, since I played so much green at the celebration event, it's definitely something we should talk about. The 6-drop cards can represent just a bomb to bait out your opponent's Broly. So what you do is you drop a 6-drop that can have really good impact on the board that your opponent doesn't want to stick on the board, forcing them to use some kind of removal or swing a huge number into them to get a bunch of resources out of them, but they just need to come down and have impact. So both of these cards come down and have impact in different ways. 40k crit is really, really nice. Forces out a Broly from your opponent, and it has 5k combo. So when you dead draw this, or when you draw this after you maybe have a Broly on the board, or maybe you're going into the last turn, you're drawing your combo power to dump everything, and you top deck this isn't a brick like androids are. So that's just one thing to talk about why I'm playing the Broly. Testing him, he was like a testing slot, but honestly, he hasn't bricked me yet. He hasn't been bad yet, and I see my androids consistently enough, so I really like 2 androids for a 6-drop and 1 Broly. The androids, one thing I was really trying to figure out with them is if the deck needed them. I really like the idea of playing 3 6-drop Broly because they all have 5k power, so I just have so many less cards with no counter power or combo power in my hand. But where the androids shine is honestly they come in so perfectly on 6. They present the same amount, or like maybe a little bit more pressure, right, onto your opponent than just the 40k crit. But they also remove the body. So where keeping the androids, I think they have to stay, is that your opponent is really scared to go down to 1 or to go down to 2 life because you can drop an androids and combo very high. So just having the threat of that is important. But honestly, just the tempo removal is irreplaceable. You can't remove the bodies on the board with Broly, and that's where Broly is really gonna not shine as hard as the androids are. Essentially, it's just the removal effect that they have. I think is the huge value in playing them. But playing them at 2 does feel perfect. Playing them at 2 and having that extra 6-drop to just make sure you have something is really, really nice. But getting into our other 6-drop, this is Son Gohan Childhood. This is Recover Gohan. And this card is just good. It's a good card. You use it sometimes. You don't use it in every match, but he still has 5k combo and he's still chargeable. So this card is just not bad to see. I like it at 3 just because it's a good number to see. You don't see it all too often. It's only got 5k, so it doesn't sit in your hand. And then in those situations where you want to recover, if you're playing against green, for example, or if you're playing against a red leader who really took you down pretty quick and you needed to get back, Son Gohan Childhood really comes in. And one other note for this is if your opponent double strikes you from 5 down to 3, and then you have to awaken and go down to 2, one thing Gohan can come in and do is just fix that and put you back up to 3 so you're defending normally, and that's a really important piece to have. So next up we have the Secret Rare Son Gohan Childhood. This card is in here to fight green and to fight yellow. That's a big reason. It's a really good bomb. It comes down on 7, so if you are on a tighter curve and you don't have that 8th energy to drop a Broly, you can still drop a 7-drop Gohan. So this card isn't as important as things like the androids and stuff, but versus red, versus green, if you're playing against a green Gohan, for example, and they have a setup 5-drop teleporter Goku on the board, this is just one of the best answers. You can't let a green Gohan versus you just keep a 5-drop Goku on the board because they're going to be able to swing 35 into you every turn, and then they're going to be able to swing to combo out of your 30k swing every turn for free. So that's just something that's really important to be able to deal with, and that's the big reason that Gohan makes it into the deck. But the real big boss monster of the deck, the card that makes the deck a ramp into big boss monsters type of deck, is our 8-drop Broly. 8-drop Broly, not too much to say about him. He's a crazy card. He's from the starter deck. He comes in on play and draws you a card, so he replaces himself. He's a 0k combo, or 0k in your hand, but when you play him, you might get a 10k, especially with how many 10ks that we have. So, and then when he's played, he can remove a body on the board, so it doesn't matter if it's a 50k body Gohan or just a 1-drop, he just pops something and then he just starts swinging. So when attacking, he restands himself, and this is how you're going to be putting that pressure on into a lot of matchups to finish the game out. Also, in the green matchup, it's just a Broly fest. It's just a Broly fight. The first person to drop their Broly and have their Broly removed by your opponent's Broly. And then, well, I guess it's more so the first person to stick a Broly. So the first person to play a Broly and don't have it removed by your opponent's Broly has such a big advantage in the green matchup because you eat so many of your opponent's resources. There's only so many destructive meteors that your opponent is going to be able to have, or gigantic meteors, sorry, to respond. So getting into the end of the deck profile, we're getting into our extra cards, and I'll talk about Gigantic Meteor first. With Gigantic Meteor, I'm playing it at 3 of because I've bricked on this card in the late game just too many times where I'm tapped out to play an 8-drop Broly, and I have like 2 of these in hand and I can't use them, and I would just prefer them to be a 10k counter. Don't get me wrong, this card is amazing, and I found new ways to utilize this card in different strategies if you do want to play it at 4. It's also very good against crit leaders that try to swing very big in the early game. Having plus 15 for 1 just to get out of a crit swing is actually something that I really like having in my back pocket to help me with my really hard matchup. So playing 3 Gigantic Meteor, I really think it's like a good number. I think it's possibly the correct number to play it at. I don't see it too much. I see it when I need it. And I don't see it too early. And even when I do see it too early, I don't see multiple too early. So that's the big thing for me. And then getting into Destructive Strength, this card's crazy important on your ramp curve. And also when you top deck this in the late game, it's just like kind of a perfect charge. It has no combo power, so it can't sit in your hand very nicely. So it either charges or gets played. But the nice thing with this is that you, on your second turn, if you have the energy marker, you just spend your 2 energy and you pay the energy marker to play this. And you ramp a card into active mode and you can play 1 drop. I've seen a lot of people saying that they just hold the energy marker until they drop a Broly. I personally don't like holding the energy marker for that long just because the numbers work out really, really well if you play this with your energy marker. So the way it works out for me is energy marker, you tap 2, play this, and you go to 3 actual energy. So you burn your energy marker. Next turn, you're on 4. You play Vegeta on 4 or a Goku. You ramp to 5, but what that does is, since you're ramping to 5 on your next turn, you're going to 6 energy on your charge, and that's where we can start playing the androids. We can drop a Broly if we want to. We're probably not awakened, so we probably don't go into like the Goku necessarily, but we can still play the 5-drop Gohan Childhood. We can still play a lot of other cards. If we have a bunch of 2-drops, this is the perfect time to start going into those. So I really like that curve. I think that curve is extremely, extremely like efficient, and that's just how I like to play Broly out so far. So Destructive Strength, crazy card. The whole deck in general is crazy, but I don't want to ramble on too long. I just want to kind of get out the deck profile, talk about some of the really weird choices and some of the numbers that I know that people are going to notice, but I am planning to do a couple other deck profiles with some of my other content creator friends. So I'll be doing more of a deep dive, talk about some of the nuances, talk about some of the really nice like combos that I think that you need to have in your back pocket to kind of fight other decks, just because I think Broly has the best Awakened in the game. I will say that. I'll explain it in other videos because I'm rambling. But if you guys have made it this long into the video, I'd really appreciate if you guys drop a sub, leave a like, leave a comment, all that good YouTube stuff. But this is me, Jamonster with Opus Gaming, and I'm out. Take care, you guys.